we'll get started. It is 10:01, so welcome to the Art of Pricing. This is episode 4 today, where we will be talking about photos. I am Talia, and we have Kristen Goulet, who's the Director of Partner Success with Rented.
Hey.
We have Rebecca Lombardo, right? That's your last name. I'm sorry. It says Talia Lockard on your name, so I was like, I'm not sure why. Rebecca from TruPlace, VP of Sales and Marketing. TruPlace specializes in vacation rental photography and virtual tours. And then we have Megan Genard, who's with Stay Redamo down in New Orleans. They have very luxurious properties in New Orleans for your stay for Mardi Gras or any time of year that you want to go. So I'm excited to have you guys here today. So, we know the goal on Art of Pricing is that we like to talk about all things revenue management. Everything the light touches is revenue management, like what we say on there. And, one of the biggest things is photos. Not talking off any kind of statistics or anything like that. The first thing somebody sees whenever they click on a vacation rental listing, your direct booking site, any website, not even in our industry, really, if you think about it, is a photo. And, how it's so easy to downplay the importance of a professional photo and a good photo that gives you a clear view of what a property or anything is like. So yesterday, whenever we were all kind of, talking and brainstorming about things, I found an interesting point for us to start at was, some people think that the smaller, lower income properties, it's not worth it to spend that kind of money on professional photography. And I think, this is a debate that we always hear. Becca, what was your insight that you had on that, and your thoughts on the lower income properties if they need professional photography or not?
Yeah, so we we don't think it's a good idea to take a look at a lower end property or a property that doesn't bring in as much revenue and say, well, it's okay that those photos are not professional or not good because that property doesn't bring in that much revenue anyway. Well, we spoke before about how the fact that contributes to your entire brand. So that one property is your entire brand. This other property is your entire brand. So if you want to improve your overall branding online, we suggest keeping all of the photos professional and high quality and looking really good, because you don't want one property to misrepresent all that hard work you put into the brand overall.
Totally. And that's a great point. And Megan, do you guys own all your properties, or y'all do manage for other people as well?
Yes,
So
yes.
how do y'all set these expectations with the owners in the beginning that it is going to be professional photography?
Yes. Well, we actually cover that in the onboarding fees. We just, again, to Rebecca's point, we're a branded management company. And so our brand is very high end, it's very luxurious, and very clean. And so with that, professional photos are an absolute must. And we've seen a significant difference between properties that have iPhone photos and properties that have professional photos as far as how often they are booked and how much they book for.
Totally. I remember 10 years ago, whenever I started First at Home Away, there was I was on the Furbo side, the owner side of things, and there was somebody who came talk to us, and he said that you know, he did a test of, he had 2 properties at that time, 2 listings with the same property, one that had professional photos and one that didn't. And it was the amount of, inquiries at the time was inquiries, not bookings. You paid for photos, all the different things in the OTA world. Like, it was like almost doubled the percentage by having professional photos on there. So they're extremely important. And do you ever get any pushback, Megan, from your owners, like that, this is part of, what our brand does?
We have not. I would. The biggest pushback would be sometimes it takes a little bit for a sunny day in New Orleans to get the right professional photos.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a little pushback on that. But to kind of make up for that, we do progress photos for a listing to start with. So a lot of our listings are homes that we rehab, refurbish, redecorate, whatever. And so we'll list it on any of the OTAs to start, but what we'll do is say these are our progress photos, and that it's free to book, so that we can start garnering bookings early, but they know that they're not looking at the finished product yet.
Totally. And are you putting like their progress photos in the photo captions?
Yes,
Nice.
we utilize the photo captions quite a bit, and yes, progress photos as well as what it's going to be. So we say, hey, this is a progress photo, this is what we're working on, and paint the picture with the words, since we don't have the actual picture yet.
Great. We actually have a question from Daniela, and I think she's asking it to you, Megan. How much do you charge for an onboarding fee?
We are we are working on all of that right now. Actually, I was running the numbers for that this morning. We work with photographers in our area who know that we will always give them good business, and it's a lot easier to take still photos of a still property than moving kids, right? So they love working with us. So we get a pretty discounted rate from our photographers. Our onboarding fee does depend on what all our assessment covers. So we start with a property assessment and go look at their property, see what they need to do or change or add to meet our brand. And once they do that, or once we have that assessment, then we come up with a price point. So some of those fixed prices are the professional photos, are the onboarding fees for the OTAs. But in general, and then your unit turn supplies, your fixed supplies, but in general, it's probably, we tell people around 2,500.
And I can totally, Daniela and Megan, I can connect you guys after if you want to talk a little bit more into that. Daniela is actually based in Spain, I believe. So we'll get you guys together. Rebecca, I'd love to hear from you guys. We're photos, and we're going to dig way more into photos, but how did TruPlace see the value of an industry of providing this kind of service to professional property managers or the vacation rental sector in general?
Yeah, so we actually started out as a company by creating a virtual tour that nobody else had, because still photos were great, but the owners felt like they needed something more to convey more information. And so that's how TruPlace came up with the interactive floor plan tour. Now it's, everybody's just got virtual tour on the brain, which is great. One thing about our virtual tour is that it's flexible. So like you Megan speaking to kind of transitionary room or transitionary, evolving space. The great thing is that you can have a virtual tour that conveys information about the layout of the property and take photos, and then go back and just reshoot half of the photos or just reshoot some of the photos and then update those to the virtual tour so that it's staying current and you don't have to completely redo an entire virtual tour.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, right? Virtual tours like that, it has such a large value when showing somebody things that a photo can't show, but it gives you that ability to basically always have an update of the property. And I'm in a vacation rental right now in Durango, Colorado, actually. For those of you, we said earlier, this is an actual background. This is not a Zoom background on here, but that, a virtual tour for this property, and I booked direct with somebody I know, so I didn't even look at the virtual tour. But to think about it, I had no idea what the layout of this house looked like, and I didn't even think about it until we started talking. Like, now that I have a 1-year-old son, and there's a lot of things I need to know about a layout of a house before I get there, for safety, for are we going to be able to separate each other, how far are we have 7 adults and 3 children here right now, are we going to be able to break away? And that's really important thing for us to be able to share with our guests and our travelers as you're utilizing the space on your listing. And I think that, we were saying vacation rental 101, right? Like, use your photo captions and your virtual tours to paint that picture that a stagnant image won't be able to basically portray to a traveler that's trying to book your property, by letting them know, like, relax and have a cup of coffee right here, or, any kind of thing that gives a story and paints for them what it would be like to be living in that picture.
Yeah, definitely. Before COVID, it was, having high quality photos was the bar. And after COVID, virtual tours are now like table stakes.
Right, exactly, because people need to see everything that's involved in there. And then you can even put, I'm laughing at this because I only have Wi-Fi in the place that I am currently sitting. That's why I'm cold at the moment. Like, this is a space where you can catch up on your work. You're gonna have the best Wi-Fi. That's a really big thing, on there as well. Kristen, you talk with tons of property managers all the time. What are some of the biggest questions or insights that you hear about, like, the photo sector?
One common thing I'll hear from clients often is that they feel like it's a challenge to get more than 25 photos. So they'll really fixate on getting those great interior shots, but then they'll kind of wonder if that's enough. And we always recommend definitely showing, the exterior photos, showing even attractions that are nearby. Like, you can get creative with getting to that higher photo count per each listing. So that's like one thing I often hear from clients, like that they just feel like it's really hard to get to, over 25 photos, especially if it's a smaller like studio apartment or something like that.
Totally. And Rebecca, you were talking about something that TruPlace actually offers that helps them connect to like Pinterest photos to add more photos or something to their listing. Was that what it was?
Yeah, we have what's called a lifestyle package. So it's kind of like what you see on Pinterest, where it's a close up of the kind of the mood or the ambiance of the room. I'm sure Megan probably has a ton of great shots like this, where it like makes you feel like you can see yourself in the room. So it's like a close up or a different angle. So it's not your standard like straight on living room, straight on front exterior, check the box of all the 25. Go back and see like, is there a little like lifestyle shot I can take that makes them understand like the ambiance or the feeling of being in the room.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so important. It's the picture of the room versus the feel of the room. We're in the business of making memories. So how do you have someone basically proactively make a memory before they even get to your vacation rental? And that's a thought that you always have to have in your head. So we do have a question from Andrew, our CEO, actually. Are there dollars and cents you can put behind the revenue margin lift on a property with professional photos versus without, to better understand the ROI and payback period for investing these photos depending on a property's top line revenue? Megan or Rebecca, or both of you, what are your thoughts?
Rebecca, go for it. You probably have harder numbers than I do. I could do percentages, but yeah.
Yeah, we have correlation that shows that there's up to 67% higher revenue on properties that provide professional quality property visuals.
That's a big number.
It's a lot, yeah.
It is. And it's I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but we all look at vacation rentals all the time. If you don't find yourself looking at vacation rental photos all the time, think about real estate, right? It's the same thing. Like if you're not creating a lifestyle or something better for someone to picture themselves in, then you have to be able to grab their attention with that. One thing we also talked about yesterday is, we can talk about professional photography and making sure that your place looks nice and good and inviting and memories, but we also need to stay consistent and transparent. If the prop, not using, was it the fish lens? I'm not a photographer.
The fish eye.
Fish eye.
Fish eye lens. Making sure that you are giving an accurate representation of the room, or if the property has a next door neighbor that's really close. Because I have actually have to say, in years past, I did get to a property once and I didn't know that it was in someone's backyard. Luckily at the time, young professional, just me and my husband, I didn't have a kid or a dog running around, and I was in the industry. So I kind of told them, maybe you should go and tell them that you're in somebody's backyard, like making sure that you're giving that representation. So somebody doesn't come and realize like, oh, maybe it's not as secluded as it is. And I could see, Megan, for you guys in New Orleans, I mean, a lot of the properties can be on top of each other. Yes. And so that it's important. How do you guys like kind of show that difference in your pictures?
Right. Well, in the street view, we definitely make sure that you can see houses on either side, because yes, the houses are on top of one another. And that's something that you kind of expect in New Orleans if you're at all from the area. But if you're not, then you do need to understand that this is as a city, right? And there's a lot of people in the city. And so we actually love, one of our number one reviews is the pictures don't do it justice. And that has been our most favorite review of all time, because we have really great pictures. But the fact that our properties are even better than what the pictures can convey is huge to us, because we want to be very accurate, very transparent. We don't want to be selling something, like we don't stage our rooms and then take everything away and there's the house, right? Like if there are green plants in the picture, there are green plants in the house.
Totally.
Now they are now fake plants, because keeping those plants alive was not easy for us, but things like that, right? We want to make sure that we're not doing a bait and switch. People are getting what they're looking at.
Would you even suggest, like, because I wonder about this sometimes too, and I haven't noticed it, like if you're going to take a picture of your linen closet and your linen closet has a ton of extra linens and towels, and then you take that out before your guests stay, that could really portray like a bad guest review and a bad experience. So you should make sure that is even accurate as well.
Right. I think what you're trying to do with your pictures more than anything is set healthy expectations
Healthy
and
expectations.
create memories, right? So
Right.
so we do, like Rebecca was saying, we have some lifestyle photos because we all have young kids, and we have things for young kids in every single one of our houses. So we have a picture of a close up of a kid's plate and, you know, dishes and dishware and everything, or a close up of the pack and play, because those are things that are provided at every home. But what that does is we're helping set healthy expectations, and we're answering questions that guests have before they even ask them, right?
Mhm.
And so that's and I think, to what Kristen was saying, that's how you get up above the 25 photos, is you start sharing what things that you have that sets you apart, whether that's the best local restaurant that's right down the block, or the pack and play, or, you know, maybe a really cool art piece or mural that's nearby that they can go take a photo in front of. Like, you start helping them plan their trip as you're selling them your listing. And I think we've seen some really great return on that as well. Like Rebecca was saying, we've recently started doing all the virtual tours because our team got tired of answering how many beds were in which room. And it's like, okay, why don't we just take a video and show them, because this is what people want to know. And I think, to Rebecca's point, especially post COVID,
Yeah.
people need to know what space they actually have and the ways that they're going to use it to be
Right.
able
I
to
think
plan.
that's a right. Changing, if you can't change your photos, change your photo captions to make an inviting space. What will travel be like post COVID? And you have all these options. So like I know on Verbo for sure, Airbnb, I'm not positive, just because I'm very connected with Verbo. Just having a lot of people that work there. You 26 is the max photos for you to basically get your ranking in the algorithm, but
Right.
they offer you to have 55 photos, and Airbnb offers you to have like 50 something as well. It seems excessive. Take your first 3 to 5 photos and make them the best photos of your property, the ones that are going to want people wanting more. Then once someone books your property, they may not look at the last 24 until after they've already booked it on there. But add in these things like, your COVID policies. Megan said they add in like reviews, where reviews say, this property didn't do it justice. Good reviews. I love this pack and play idea, and I don't know if it's because we were talking about this yesterday or because I'm at a vacation rental with a baby and I had to buy a pack and play. Like I set up the like all the baby stuff in one picture, like right there, because if there was a monitor, a pack and play, and everything I needed for my son in every vacation rental, would make my life so much easier. And that makes me wonder, Rebecca, do your photographers, do they come with a checklist of things they should take a photo of, or are they leaving it up to the property manager?
We have a pre-photo checklist, but it's more of like a decluttering rather than like an adding in. But we do have a section for requests. So if the client's like, requesting, make sure you get these following shots, that we'll make sure we get those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's conveying information visually is really important right now. I always joke about like people don't read.
People don't read.
People don't.
So communicating visually is really important.
And the copy for this, I said, like, like adults have like a shorter attention span, and the goldfish means it takes 8 seconds to capture our attention. Whenever I was at Home Away, our CEO John Kim, like, he would say that all the time, and it really stuck in my brain. And whenever I was doing some research for this one, that came up for me so many times in so many different photo blogs, and I'm like, we have no attention span anymore, so use like pictures and visuals. That is key. That was going to help you move forward. But just optimize, which I use optimize all the time, optimize the assets of the pictures that you can use, which is the professional areas and the photo captions. Again, I could praise photo captions till the cows come home.
Yeah, one thing about photo captions too, just like knowing that people don't read, you might have all this time that you've spent crafting this really beautiful description for your listing. Pull out your favorite things about that description and utilize those within your captions, knowing that people will be scrolling through the photos. So take advantage of like all the work you did writing that description and pull out elements of it to, help you write these captions, because it really is such a great opportunity to share information with the traveler about the flow of the home, answer questions about like common spaces or anything that's not like quite obvious from the photo, like filling in that the discrepancy there, and like really helping the traveler to understand like the flow of the home and the amenities.
And if you're having, trouble, like, I mean, usually, you have multiple people at the company, like have multiple people look at the photos. To be, whether it's an employee that stays in your property, a family member, even a guest who's willing to maybe to chat with you after, ask them like, hey, like show them a photo and say like, what did this offer you? What did you do in this area? Ask about the experiences and the different things that you can add in there. That way you are, you're able to, you're taking straight from the person experience who's in there. We have a question from Sarah. She says, our rental properties do not provide linens for guests. When it comes to pictures of the bedroom, do you recommend using just all white bedding? Often when I onboard a new property, the beds only have encasements on the mattresses and pillows, which is not very visually appealing. In order to make the photo more appealing, I want the beds made fluff to look as inviting as possible. Do you have any recommendations other than just white bedding?
I mean, I think my recommendation often is white bedding. It looks really crisp. It looks like a hotel. I think if you're not providing linens for the guest, make sure that is super clear in the description. Potentially even utilize the caption for the bedroom photo to like describe whatever you want to describe about the room, but also make mention like, please note bedding is not provided. But I think when you're not providing it, you want to make, and even if you're worried about using all white for each property, like it fits with your brand, it's going to look really branded with the rest of your images. So I wouldn't worry too much about the properties looking the same in that sense. I think it offers a really clean look and, just will look really crisp and will photograph really well.
Totally. Like, I definitely think white always looks good. I don't know if it's a common thing in your area not to provide linens. But I would just make sure that you are being very transparent in the description and the photo captions where people can see that.
Well, and I think if you do provide linens for an extra fee, and what you say is in the caption is, these are the linens provided if you pay, blah, 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 right? So you're actually selling the service that you're offering instead of just saying this isn't the real thing, right?
Right,
so
exactly.
you are offering any service like that, use whatever sheets that you're actually offering so that it's a very accurate picture, right? Which I would assume would be white sheets because those are easy to clean, right? But yeah, definitely make sure you're using your captions to make that clear.
That's an amazing point, Megan. Thanks for bringing that up. Like, you definitely put it in there that, obviously they're going to get it from somewhere. So give them that option, like give them solution, right? Like, rather than just the problem. So you're giving them the solve of what's going to happen there. One other thing that we really talked about that I think it would be a great note for us to kind of start closing in on with our 7 minutes left is having photos of different seasons, whether that is an area that you have different seasons or an area like New Orleans where you don't have different seasons, but you have Mardi Gras. And festivals in there. So Rebecca, do you guys, when y'all work with property managers, y'all often suggest for them to take pictures of different seasons?
Yeah, so I was saying prior to COVID, people used to have these seasonal expectations. Everybody who was looking in May was going to book for November. That's all blown out the window. Just forget it. Put everything
There's no like season anymore. It's just one big season today.
There are no more seasons. So somebody could be booking in May for November. Somebody could be booking in May to get away from their parents tomorrow. So like you don't know what people are looking at for when. So it's totally fine to put the same front exterior shot with this beautiful like snow-covered lodge. And then the next photo is that exact same front exterior, but with like a sunny, green pine trees in the background shot as well. So it's totally fine to have both of those up there. You don't need to rotate them out. It's totally fine to have like, the pool is seasonal. Is it closed? Is it open? Are there different Christmas decor options? It's okay to have, multiple options now, depending on where you are. I think because the seasonality has just kind of gone out the window.
Yeah, it completely has. And I think I said this maybe on the webinar last week, or I said to somebody recently, said, like this trip I took to Durango was purely because my husband's office told them they don't have to go back to the office till July. So we're like, okay, let's go take a trip. And we booked this 2 weeks ago. So this was nothing was planned, but needing to know what is it going to be like during that time. Create less research for the traveler, right? Like put in there all the times, this is what it looks like in May through July, different times that are in there so they know what it's going to feel like. And I'm sure, Megan, for you guys, I mean, do y'all advertise like what Mardi Gras looks like all the time in your photos?
Well, to Rebecca's point, now we do. And a big reason for that is New Orleans said, let's put all of our festivals in 1 month, right? So everything is in October this year. Absolutely everything. So even the fact that what we would normally advertise for over the year is now all in 6 weeks. But yes, throughout, we have people booking for Mardi Gras 2023 already, because people are ready, and New Orleans is ready to welcome people back. So I think it really is just a matter of having that accurate, like and to that, we actually provide Mardi Gras packages or Valentine packages or Christmas packages of, for Mardi Gras specifically, we'll have a king cake with, maybe a bottle of champagne or something for $25 or something. So that'll be in our, and the funny thing is we've had people request that package, definitely not in Mardi Gras season, because that's just something that we're known
New
for.
Orleans.
Right. And so having those pictures up year round has actually proved very beneficial for us.
It's
Yeah,
smart. That's great. Speed too. Because you're like, oh, I never thought about, New Orleans in December, but now that I've seen those Christmas photos, that looks like a good idea.
Yeah.
Right. That it really is. And you'd be like, like we're going for like a family gathering. It'd be cool to have a king cake when we got there. Like I wouldn't know where to get that. I'm from Louisiana and I order king cakes all throughout the year. So I highly recommend that all the time. But yeah, I mean, we just don't know what time is. Give it the representation and give them all the representation. Don't feel like you're giving too much. And really, if you're thinking about it, if you're adding what different times of the year look like, you're encouraging travel to your community through your own photos and your own listings, just by, people may have not have thought of it, but it's going to come up. And so just making people feel like, oh, we can go any time of the year. It doesn't just have to be this certain time that, New Orleans is much more than Mardi Gras. Durango is much more than snow. Like different things over here. There's so many things that people can do year round. We're making a lot of our locations today have a larger seasonality than they've ever had before, because the shoulder seasons are now turning into flexcation seasons, or just time just to get away. And said maybe getting away from family that is now living with you during COVID. Who knows? Are there any things, we have about 2 minutes left, anything that maybe we missed out, any closing remarks that we want to give?
I mean, I think my closing comment really is just photos kind of serve two purposes. One, attracting the guest in the first place. And the second purpose is really just setting appropriate expectations with the guest. So it's a balance of the two, making sure your images look super inviting. It's helping the guest imagine their stay in the home, the memories they're going to make with their family or whoever they're traveling with, but also use it as an opportunity to really set the expectation. So the guest, walks into what they're actually getting.
I think it's so important. And, I'm going to let Rebecca and Megan close after this, but I was talking to a homeowner last week who she asked me to take a look at her listing, and she'd been visiting the webinars, and I told her that she needed to update her photos because they were all very old and you could tell they were old. And she told me that they had recently or 5 years ago, renovated their house, and she'd never gotten up to date on the photos. Like, remember, you need to do, every time you update the photo, and do it fast.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that was going to be my closing remark. We often get, how often do you update your photos? So yeah, we recommend every 3 to 5 years, you need to update your photos, because it's not just, even if you haven't changed anything, the technology changes of photography and visuals and resolutions. So you need to keep pace with that. So please, every 3 to 5 years, make sure you get reshoots. We offer a free analysis, by the way. If you want a free scorecard from TruPlace, doesn't matter where you're located, we'll do an analysis of your property visuals.
Awesome. That's great. I love how we were like closing with the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say all the same things. So go get professional photos. It is worth it. And like Rebecca said, updating is huge.
Awesome. Yes. And, we are happy, Rented, we do revenue management. I'm happy to take a look at listings or anything that somebody wants to look at. My background, Verbo, and I actually am with 2 Verbo account managers here in Durango. I can put them to work. Just kidding. They're watching the kids while I do this. But if you have just any questions or, any topics or anything that you would like to hear on the art of pricing, feel free to email me or LinkedIn message me, talia@rented.com. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. This was a fun conversation. And I mean, it was fun practice, fun conversation like we have been doing every week, but everyone have a great week. And I will talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.